Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola, good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, Wimbledon tennis. It's fantastic to have someone through, isn't it? And here we are in, well, court one, actually, isn't it? I think it's court one we've got today. So let's root for the only remaining Brit. Now, today I want to talk to you about 3 reasons why the property market will not fall off a cliff. Many people I know are saying, oh, things are slowing down. It's going to be terrible. Yes, the recession's awful. Yes, there's some horrible things happening out there in the country, especially when it comes down to the fuel price crisis. People are struggling to eat, they're struggling to heat. It's awful. But the other side of this is on the property market side, things remain strong. And there are 3 main things that I think will make sure that doesn't fall off a cliff. And this is number 1, equity. Since the pandemic, what's happened is the markets have all gone up substantially, and that substantial increase has meant that most people that have sat on property during that period have substantial equity built up, and that matters because if people don't have equity, then they won't strive to keep what they've got. And I'm talking now about people that are struggling to make payments that would rather keep them if they could because they know they've got a large amount of equity, and if it gets repossessed, they're likely to get a lower figure than if they could sell on the open market. So even those that are struggling, when they've got large amounts of equity built up in their property, and they have, if they bought since 2010 onwards, then they're unlikely to want to sell anytime soon. And even now, with larger deposits required on average for the average mortgage, therefore people are more likely to have equity in their property, and that equity will sustain the market because there's a substantial percentage between where they are and the current value of their home. So that in itself will make sure that we don't fall off a cliff. But then on from that, interest rates. Interest rates are going up. Yes, I know it's awful, but actually they've gone up in very small chunks. It was anticipated. And get this, 74% of people in the UK have fixed rate mortgages. 74% across the whole of the UK. Now, if you go to recent mortgage applications, that goes up to 96%. 96% of people are on fixed rates. What does that mean? It means that when the rate moves, it doesn't affect them in the slightest. On average, when rates are increased by the Bank of England, the effects of that rate increase don't come about for 2 whole years because of these cyclical trends, people renewing loans that are already on fixed rates, etc. And thirdly, supply. What happens is, and what's happening now, is that many people that were considering selling are holding off because they're worried about other things, and understandably so. The pandemic question, will it come back? Fuel prices, heating, eating, affordability of everything. And on top of that, Russia. So all of those things are making people feel a little bit frightened and worried. And I think that, yes, America's going to tip into recession. We're already in recession, and that's going to be with us for some time. And that will cause considerable pain and suffering for many people. And that's a sad thing. But when it comes to the property market will only fall if supply exceeds demand. And the reality is that we haven't built enough new homes. So therefore, the 300,000 homes that we've needed over the last 10 years that we've never managed to hit the target for are still required. And now, especially with London easing, we're finding that the demand is very strong. And that is in a situation where all of those negative points are there. The housing market is still strong. Finally, where are you going to put your money if you don't put it into housing? Put it in the stock market? Have a look at what's happened to the stock market since the recession. It's gone through the floor. It's on its knees relative to where the housing market is. And the thing is, with the stock market, yes, those investments will come back eventually and they'll come back strong. But that volatility doesn't happen in property so much. And even if it did, if you're sitting on a rental, the income remains constant. And that's the key thing. So if you're a landlord and you've let that property out, probably on a fixed rate, probably your rent is already set by a contract, and therefore you know what rent's coming in, you know what the outgoings are. That hasn't changed. And you sit on that property for long enough, inflation will put up rents, and in the end, you'll be the winner. We've always said in property, people look for short-term wins, and that's one thing. You can get short-term wins, but they're hard to achieve. Medium term is the winner. And nearly every time, if you look back over a 5-year period, in fact, every time I think, you'll find that property has won in terms of where it was versus what it is. Look back 5 years ago. Do you wish that you'd have bought then? Yes, you do. But if you look back 10 years, you'll find the same story, and so on and so forth. So The secret with property is always medium to long-term wins, not short-term wins. Don't look for the quick wins. Don't try and guess the market. Move when it's right for you. If you're thinking of buy to let, look at the fundamentals. Does the rental yield work? Really important. Is it realistic? Are you talking to the right people? Are they giving you the right advice? Because if you're getting the right advice, then you know that the sums work out. And if they work out, they work out. You can leave that to one side, providing you've done your maths, and that will win for you in the medium term. And it will help your family. Some people do this because they want their children's education covered later on by their investments. Some do it for their pension funds. Either way, it does still work, provided you're sensible and buy in the right places at the right time. Keep your eyes open and don't be seduced by false promises. So that's it for today. As far as the weather's concerned, it's nice out there today. Very hot. Going to get hotter. And good luck to Wimbledon today. Let's hope that we win. Last one in, so we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. Excuse the hay fever today. Hopefully it'll be better tomorrow. Look after yourself, and if you can, your family, your friends. Ciao.